Hi everybody and welcome to our second edition of Holytisch, the Future Food Convention. This is our second day. We will have another one tomorrow. Here we are in the session about the power of young food actors with Abdallah, I hope I pronounced your last name right, Ekow Manuar Smith.
Yes.
Who is the managing director at the Ghanafoodmovement. Probably you saw in our advertisement promotion that Lotte Wouters is joining us as well, the founder of Ghanafoodmovement. Unfortunately, she can't make it, but I'm super happy to be here with Abdallah. Before we dive into the session, I'm going to give a quick intro about Holytisch and who we are, and a little bit of tech guidance. So we are a future food collective of several people. Right now we are a core team of 3. This is Charlotte. You will not see her here in the live stream because she's our tech hero behind the scenes. She is an action research expert related to the field agroecology. Myself, my name is Joella. I'm in the field normally of ecosystem regeneration. And then we have Damini, who joined us this year, which we are super happy about, who is also moderating some sessions. And she is a food writer and journalist focused on all issues related to the food systems. Why are we doing what we're doing? Sometimes we have the feeling that everybody is flooded with negative news about climate crisis, socio-economical crisis everywhere. And with this connection, we are trying to highlight and showcase people who are already champions in the food systems or becoming one. Obviously, the food system is a very broad and wide field and interdisciplinary. So you will see this convention from people from very different angles talking about increasing food sovereignty. And also, this is now a little bit tech guidance. So we're gonna have here the session for 45 minutes. And then we're gonna jump into our deep dive, which is our Q&A format. And we will provide you the link in the YouTube chat, but it's also in our convention hub. And this is done for you, the chance to connect with Abdallah and ask questions and exchange ideas or whatever you feel like. So I'm super happy that we have today 2 sessions who are focused on Ghana-related topics, because I myself spent most of the year in Ghana and probably also most of the next year in Ghana. That is also why I found the Ghanafoodmovement, which is a grassroots movement highlighting but also redefining Ghanaian food culture. And yeah, I'm super happy to be with you, Abdallah. I know we tried to catch up in Glasgow where you spoke at COP. So I think you had an exciting last 2-3 weeks. And I think we can start with you introducing yourself.
Thank you. Yes, we were to meet, but unable to. But yeah, we can probably meet when you're back here in a year or so. So my name is Abdallah Ekow Manuar Smith, and I am one of the managing directors at Ghanafoodmovement. You know, we are multiple people who are making up the management team. And yes, the Ghanafoodmovement is a grassroots cultural movement, and we're all about having positive impact on not only Ghana, but West Africa's food system, because we're all part of the same ecology, from below the Saharan to the Gulf of Guinea. So yes, that's a little bit about the Ghanafoodmovement. Very short and sweet.
Yeah, thank you. I maybe from a structural side, I saw on your social media channels that you are becoming or already an NGO. Is that right?
Yes. So over the last 2 years, we've sort of been operating informally. But as we grow in size and stature, we need to become more professionalized. We need to be, a legal entity. And so we had a vote. Maybe I can give a brief structural overview of the Ghanafoodmovement.
Yeah.
We have a team that is sort of operates as the managing directors, myself included, as well as a team of 5 or 6 others. And sort of we spearhead the movement towards a certain direction and execute and implement our strategies. And then we have our core, builders that are, the core people who are volunteers, and they are experts in, food science. They are, nutritionalists. They are the chefs. They are the farmers. They are the, business people as well who have their brands and dedicate some hours of their time over the course of a week to the Ghana food movement. And so that makes up the core group of the food movement, the managing team, and then the builders, the volunteers. Outside of that, we have sort of advisors, people who higher up, maybe parts of bigger organizations that help with structural issues, and then we have other advisors who are like expert advisors. But basically, we had a vote because we wanted to make a decision-making process as democratic as possible, to either go as a profit-making or as an NGO, and we decided to go as an NGO. So we voted, we had the elections, the ballots were cast, and then we became an NGO earlier this month, and now we are registering as such.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
So maybe we can go into why does Ghana movement need to exist, and what is your vision and mission maybe?
Yeah, so I mean, you've been to Ghana, and so you've had an idea of what's going on here, and I mean, even just driving on the streets, you have an idea of the youth and where they are situated. There's not a lot going on for the people, for the younger people in our society, and the gestures of the state and of what developments has pretty much suggested that some of them are not part of this newer Ghana, So that is one thing. That is, the youth and how they are involved in this nation building process. The other thing is sustainability of the food system that we're currently operating. Ghana is, transitioning or trying to transition from, smallholder farming agriculture to more industrial, more modernized. And with that is positive things, and then with that are also negative things that I'm not too sure, we are not too sure as a movement that, people are taking into consideration, mainly the sustainability aspect, but also the justice aspect, with income inequalities, increasing the opportunities for younger people, for poor people to make a living, also increasing and becoming more disparate. So these are some of like the main things we look at, and we try and situate ourselves in a position to provide opportunities for young people, to inspire and educate people about sustainability issues and practices, and also to highlight people who are already practicing sustainability within agriculture and amplify their voices in the ecosystem, and also to always have this justice element about the inequality we're facing, and the injustices that moving towards this different food system would create and are creating as we currently speak. So this is kind of the why of the Ghana food movement, and also to really just have fun, doing this, right? As we're talking before, climate change comes about, and the conversation becomes very negative and dull. We want to make it, not that we're not making climate change fun, but we're making the act of battling climate change fun by doing these fun events and by connecting with each other and eating and drinking and have a good time.
Yeah, maybe that's a good link that you can talk a little bit of your different kind of programs or projects that you're having, because I know I follow you always on Instagram, and I know that you have so many different activities all the time.
Yes, so we have 3 main events that we host. We have the Dine and Dance, we had the Food Film Thoughts, and then we have Food Safari. These are the 3 main ones, and I will just briefly explain which each one entails. So the Dine and Dance is kind of an opportunity for us to take a neglected and underutilized ingredient or species or crop or whatever it is, and prepare it over a 3-course meal, from the dessert, appetizer, main to dessert, so that people can see how some of these ingredients can be used in their daily lives, and the nutritional benefits, the health benefits, and so we use that event as a way to educate, but also to bring people together and have like a nice dinner, eating, a local dish which has been reimagined, or a local ingredient that has been reimagined, and then we dance, obviously, which is the best, the best part about it. So that's one event, and then we have the Food Film Thoughts, which is an event where we have a documentary or a film or based on a food-related topic. The recent one was on fisheries, commercial fishing in Ghana. And then we sort of have panelists come and discuss, and we have experts as well come and discuss. And we just try and create a space for people to talk about the issues in that particular industry or with that food. And then we have a dinner based on that food-related topic as well. I mean, how great is that? You have a film about fish, and then you eat fish afterward. So that is another event. And then we have finally the food safari, where this is more like taking people in the urban centers to the sites of food production, and getting them to talk to farmers directly, getting experts involved as well to talk about whatever it is we're looking at for that food safari trip, and also to see the potential business opportunities as well by either exploring value added, because Ghana is in a position where we are trying to modernize our agriculture. So it's always good to tie it into what people are doing to do, in regards to this trajectory. So those are the three events that we host. We do a lot of networking as well, and we also have we arrange dinners as well for private clients. We also do networking events where we bring people together. So, but these are the three main events that we use to do our outreach and do our educating.
I think that's so important, and you mentioned now often like local cuisine, and I read an article from the New York Times, I think it was in 2019 or 20, when they are going on the topic of fast food in Ghana, when especially KFC, that I mean, obesity is a worldwide problem, and not only in Ghana, but apparently due to the introduction of KFC, obesity rates increased, probably also due to other fast food chains, because also the style of eating is linked to wealth, and that people show I can afford to eat there, and it's super clean and everything, and want to distinguish themselves from street food, for example.
Yeah, it's a serious issue. I mean, we need to acknowledge that we were colonized, and we still have some sort of colonial, traces of colonialism still in Ghana. So the idea of doing better is very much tied to a Western lifestyle. And when these big brands, not only KFC, there's Pizza Hut, there's Burger King, when these big brands come in and people are aspiring for a better life, what that equates to in their mind is to eat in these places. You tie that in also to office work, sitting down and being sedentary. You tie that into sitting down in a car in traffic for multiple hours, and you have a perfect storm of what we are seeing right now with these non-communicable diseases. Heart disease, hypertension. These are the main killers in Ghana currently. And obesity is also on the rise in the urban population. So yes, it's a big problem. And I mean, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. How do you think you can change this narrative again? Because I guess it's quite a tricky one to tackle.
Yes, and there's when swans, I'm using like a metaphor. When swans are migrating or planning to migrate, they do there's murmuring, and they communicate to each other by murmurs. A series of small murmurs, and then they become this grand thing that moves and migrates together. So the Ghana food movement is a lot of ways this idea where small communications with each other, small communications, and inspirings, and conversations and positive relationships can have this more overwhelming impact on a larger scale, whereby people are thinking more about what they eat, because now they are aware that, okay, I can't eat this for the whole week, but also aware that what they've been eating before, what is known to them from their parents' time is highly nutritious, can be done in a way that it satisfies, their taste needs, and is part of this image of a new Ghana as well. So this is kind of a lot of the work we do to sort of trick people into realizing that our old local, not old, but our local cuisine, our local cultures have something to offer in this new idea of Ghana. Not to say that, you shouldn't eat fast food ever, but it shouldn't be your main line of nutrition, because it will have health implications as well. So that's kind of our modus operandi, is to sort of just go about having these small positive relationships and positive communications with people, and just gradually and slowly changing these narratives about what it is to be a modern Ghanaian and what that translates to in your plate as well.
What is then for you a modern Ghanaian, related to maybe also related to modern Ghanaian cuisine, or when you say like you want to redefine the cultural Ghanaian food cuisine?
So could you repeat it?
Yes, sure. So when you say like what the new modern Ghanaian lifestyle or new modern Ghanaian food, also linked to the traditional food habits, what is that for you?
Well, I'll look at my household. I mean, I still eat very traditionally. Fufu on Saturday. You come to my house, you hear the pounding going on, you can smell the aromas. So I'm still quite conservative about how I go about eating my food. And I also have a farm where we do grow contumely. So I bring the contumely to the house and it is made into a meal. But maybe what I can say is, for instance, we went from eating white rice to eating brown rice, which is made, in Ghana, and also is used for preparing wache as well. And so I don't have an answer for what the modern Ghanaian, what it looks like, and I shouldn't have. There's no one answer to that. Everyone sort of needs to realize that for themselves. But what they do need to realize is that for their health, for the health of our ecology, and for the health of our economy as well, we need to still have this focus on the local cuisine, the local ingredients. And so whatever that is for them going into the future, they need to embrace it somehow. And a lot of people would look at Ghanaian cuisine, it's a lot of stews, a lot of soups. So it doesn't really fall in line with packaging, right? So packaging becomes quite a big issue. How do you package fufu? It's almost
good question, yeah.
And I don't have the answer to that question, but the idea is something like the ghanafoodmovement. We create a space where we come up with the answer together, or someone else has the answer or has some variation of the answer, and we bring them to the fore. We bring them to the stage and highlight what they have to say about it. I'm waiting eagerly. And I don't mean like the neat fufu either. That is good, but it's not. It doesn't come anywhere close to fufu made by the hand, the sweat, and the mortar.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess then it's good that you have such a diverse, such diverse members in your network, coming from all different angles to really brainstorm and have different kind of ideas how to champion these issues.
Absolutely.
I guess lots of education and awareness raising plays a huge role in the Ghana food movement and collaboration.
Absolutely. It does. And that is what we've been doing for the last 2 years. But as we move into become a formal organization, then you start looking at, okay, now we've done those things. Now it's time to put the structure in place so that if, for instance, I am not there anymore, somebody can slip in. They know, what they need to do as their role, and it can continue. So this is also one of the things we are trying to do now, is to build this structure on which these ideas have a place to as a resource for people outside of the group or within the group, so they can come to us or come to the organization and get access to these resources. So it's very important for us to remind ourselves that we need to get the structural arrangement of the organization correct, so that there's a good base for the creative aspects to flourish as well.
Yeah, yeah. My work in Ghana centers mostly around mitigating climate change and empowering coastal communities. And I also see like huge challenges for farmers because of climate change, but also from deforestation or poor infrastructure, or like the lack of accessing finance mechanism. And then it creates mostly, I guess, for rural people, an inefficient food system because they face so many challenges, also from salinization in the soil, or people who have been fishermen for so long and having problems to make their livelihoods as a fisherman still. And then there's so much migration into Accra again, which also, I guess, doesn't really help the rural population. And I saw that you have now a new program or a new project where you want to empower or bring youth to work in agriculture again. Maybe you can give a little bit of details on that program.
Yeah, so that's the Pharma project, right? Yeah, so the basic idea of Pharma is to bring the conversation of growing food into the city, and for the youth to know that they have a role to play and there's a space for them to come and join in this conversation. And so the program is designed to have workshops where we invite youth to come and get their hands dirty, really to get their hands touching the soil, putting seeds into the ground. We have one of the companies, June, which is a permaculture urban farm installation, come and show them how you go about permaculture practices as well. And the idea is for them at the end of that, they go away not only with this knowledge, but also with a plant as well that they go home and take care of. And I mean, you can't put a number on how impactful that can be when a child or a youth goes home with something that they have to take care of themselves, and they see that thing grow from a seed into a plant. It changes your perspective about where your food comes from and what goes into you, because you begin to see more of yourself in this system that we're in. And I think a lot of what modern agriculture or modern society has been about is like removing man from nature. So this Pharma is really trying to bring nature back to back to human. And so that's what the Pharma is trying to do. And I think part of that program, we have another program, which is Pharma Youth, which is more concretely trying to take youth who are in agriculture involved somehow and connect them to businesses. And there's an internship program as well designed. So some of these companies, they'll pay for them to have their capacity, their skill sets improved on. So when they actually come to do the internship, they have the skill sets to go about their work and maybe gain employment at the end of the program. So these are just, the small little ways we are trying to get the youth involved in not only getting employed and being able to sustain their livelihoods, but also to get involved in these conversations that if you look at Africa, we're going to be the largest population soon. We're the youngest population. So if we don't put the right measures in place now, we will be in an interesting position come the middle of the century. So these are the small efforts we are putting in place.
And how are you finding these other stakeholders who will provide an internship, for example, for some of your youth that are in your program?
So a lot of it is within our network already. Some of our members in the ghanafoodmovement are providing these internships, but then also we do a lot of outreach. We did a lot of outreach on social media to reach out to bigger companies, and they are also looking to hire skilled laborers, right? There is a gap in the market, so they are also interested in that regard. But mainly through our members, but also networking, doing outreach as well to these bigger companies and who have their missions aligned in some way or form to ours too.
So then, do you have a feeling from your perspective and what you are seeing through the Ghana food movement that a lot of young people actually want to work in the agricultural field or in a farm kind of, but see it as a not really prestige work, or maybe see like, how can I sustain myself with that in the current state that most of the farms are? Or do you have the feeling like there's a lot of movement going on?
Well, I think when you look at the trends now, what it says or what it shows is that youth are moving from the farm to the cities because they perceive that to not be able to sustain their livelihoods, and they see the city life as fun or more attractive for whatever reason. So I would say currently the trend is for the youth not to see any sort of lucrative or any opportunity in farming. Um, our job is to change that. Our job is to show that yes, there is not only room for there to be money to be made, but also a good life. Because a good life is not tied to being overly rich and having obscene amounts of wealth, but a good life is eating well, having good family connections and friends and community, and so there is this other sort of underlying lifestyle change that we are trying to silently promote because, as I said already, our idea of prosperity is very much colonized, and if everybody was to aspire to have to drive a car or to eat burgers every day, we would not survive. So then the trend now is against us, but our job is to change the trend.
And would you say maybe at some point it would be a good idea for you to also include maybe schools to really start in the beginning with kids already to open their mindset for another more healthy, nutritious diet?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, we do have plans in place to start engaging in the schools, but the school system in Ghana, the public school system at least, that goes to the government, for instance. So we do have plans to start engaging with toddlers and so on. But this requires this really for us to be correct and right with our structural and legal organization. Before then, we can start approaching them. So we need to do all the small things right. Before then, we can have this wider impact of reaching out to maybe the public schools or even the private schools. They want to see that you're a legal entity, you're run well, if you have paying taxes, you're paying taxes. So those are the small things that we need to do correctly before we can start tackling these um, bigger challenges or reaching out to a larger number of people.
If I remember correctly, then food is provided in schools for kids. The lunch is for free, right?
Yeah, so there's a school feeding program. I'm not too clear on the details, but there's a school feeding program it runs parallel to the free schooling that we have in Ghana from JH, from basic schools all the way to senior high school. However, the school feeding program is not perfect. There was an instance, I think, last month or last couple of months where the students were not gaining access to a diverse and nutritious meal. They were only eating gari, which is cassava, basically, grinded cassava, and they were eating that for the whole week. So not very nutritional, not very diverse. So there is a program in place, but I don't think it's working to its full capacity. And that's where having systems in place, for instance, that are farms that are growing multiple varieties of food through maybe some sort of integrated organic farm, and having that tied to such a program comes into place. And you see that positive impact where children are getting access to nutritional food and a diverse diet from their basic education up until they become adults.
Yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit of the gastronomic scene in Ghana, because I know that you have some in Ghana are some really influential and famous chefs. And always when I'm in Accra, I'm looking for new restaurants, and I really have the feeling that a lot is going on in the food scene in the gastronomic sector in Accra.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is where I would have hoped Lotte would be here because she really is the one who knows about the gastronomical stuff. I myself am not so, in that scene. I mean, for me, my restaurant is my house. But yes, no, we have a number of chefs in our Ghana food movement who are doing remarkable work. Adopting plant-based dishes in their menus, in their events that they host, and over dinners. So the landscape and the scene is changing, and as you are evidence of that, because you've come here and you've heard and you've seen and you've got a sense of what is going on here. So there is that going on, and there are people championing doing the local ingredients and transforming the image around them and how we go about eating our local ingredients and our local cuisine as well.
I have the feeling sometimes it's really so close linked to heritage and but also their own empowerment, and also like celebrating their own traditions, but also moving to adapting to a gastronomic scene, or something like what you called like the modern society, some maybe to combine everything, but also to be super proud of their own heritage, which I think is super great.
Yeah, it is. And maybe I can just mention, like, we had for one of our dine and dances, we had a tadre, which is tiger nut. And for large parts, no one really does much with the tiger nut. You just you get it, you wash it, and then you just chew it. But recently, with in the dine and dance, we had them use the tiger nuts for appetizer, for a main dish, and then for the dessert. And I mean, I wish I could tell you how they went about it, but it was incredible. So yes, it's these little things that make the big change. As I said already, I wish I could talk more about it, but I'm not so knowledgeable about the gastronomical scene, and but yeah, it's going on.
But in general, I guess with every country in the world, most of the time we only use few ingredients and forget about all the variety and diversity that we actually have. We yesterday had people from Kenya talking about seed sovereignty, where they described what a great variety they're having in seeds, but like the mainstream only uses just a few. And I guess that's also what Ghana Food Movement can also, if you are already like really highlighting the diversity of native species that you normally have and always forget.
Yeah, and if people are, if the chefs, for instance, are taking on these ingredients and manifest them in new dishes that people become very popular, then it becomes interesting for other restaurants to be like, okay, well, maybe we need to catch up with the times. And that's why we are a grassroots cultural movement, because we want there to be not only conversation, but this cultural change, really, where people are asking for. They go to a restaurant and they see that there's no yam chips. And they're like, well, why isn't there yam chips, but there's French fries? This is me at a restaurant. I go to a restaurant, if there's no yam chips, I will leave the restaurant, actually. I will not eat there, or I'll complain bitterly. So, this is what we want. We want people to want our local ingredients, local, dishes, and to demand it. And if they don't get it somewhere, they go to the places that they will, and the markets will have to shift because they need to respond to those lifestyle changes.
I'm gonna quickly ask you a question from the audience, from the YouTube chat that I got sent to. A person is asking, according to Google search, traditional food in Ghana is banku, fufu, gari, jollof rice, kenke, wake, red, and I always struggle with this, kelewele. Yeah. Is this food sustainable in your opinion? Is this food regarded as old?
So I'll even say that doesn't even cover half of the local, Ghana is maybe 4 different ecological zones. We have the rainforests, we have the coast, we have the semi-arid, and then we have, the arid. And within each ecological zone, you have different things that can grow well, and you have different things that don't grow so well. So even that does not cover how diverse the food is in our country. As to the question of if it's sustainable, it depends on a number of things. It depends on how it's produced, what goes into its production, and it depends on what metrics you're measuring sustainability. Are you measuring it based on, just the environmental impact, or are you measuring it also on the human element as well, the justice element of it? So it's not an easy question to answer, But what I can say is that, yes, it can be done sustainably. It has been done sustainably, but what we are seeing is this shift away from it because modern economies demand so and so to be industrialized, to have monocultures, to have to apply fertilizer, and that's what it says. And so we just follow the program, but it doesn't need to be like that. In fact, we need to challenge that and come up with a new way of growing our food that is, in keeping with our ecology and in keeping with, being able to provide for everybody a just and nutritious meal. I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So maybe because you said it now a few times, the justice element of a food system, or how to overcome inequalities. How are you thinking, or how is your approach to tackle it? Because I mean, it's like a huge major task, because it's linked to poverty and access to education, I guess, and infrastructure. But from your perspective, from a just only food system perspective, how do you think how do you approach this issue?
It's not an easy question to answer. So aside from the Ghana food movement, I founded a company called Gaia Greenfields, and we manage we manage farms to produce food organically. The idea is that to show that on a 2 to 3 acre plot of land, you can not only be lucrative as a business, but you can also regenerate the land. You don't need to necessarily deplete it with chemical fertilizer and so on and so forth. Because what you've had, and we go back to trends, right? Historical trends. We look at the Green Revolution and what it did. On one hand, it brought a lot of food to the world, but on another hand, it brought widespread devastation to ecologies. It ran farmers into debt, and it basically said that you are not good enough to produce food, so we, the big companies and so on, are going to do that. So these are the historical trends that we need to be wary of and be aware of when we're talking about these wider justice issues. It doesn't mean that all big companies need to dismantle themselves. No, it's a careful balance of letting smallholder farmers know that there's other ways to go about their farming operation. It doesn't necessarily need to be going in depth to buy inputs and buy these seeds. There's another way to go about it, and you need to show them that by, let's say, then connecting them to a business that is going to buy their produce. So a lot of the work that I'm doing is to show that if I grow contumely, I have somewhere it's going to go. If I grow beans, it has somewhere it's going to grow. If a farmer knows that if he's going to do this and he has these places he's going to send it to, then he's more at ease. He knows that his produce is going to be bought up by somebody, and the person who is buying it knows somebody's going to eat it. So these are the linkages that we are trying to bolster with our movement, with having chefs there, having farmers, having restaurant owners, having businesses as well, so that we can connect these dots and then say that if you do grow your farm organically with using beans to fix the nitrogen in the soil, if you use plantain leaves for the potassium, those things that you grow have a place to go, and that ensures that you have your revenue stream and basically proof of concept. So this is kind of a lot of the work we do as well as the Ghana Food Movement, is to connect these business operations and show that there is money to be made, and it can be made whilst doing the things correctly in regards to the environment, and also because of these inequalities and justice issues.
Yeah, I guess that's also, again, like a huge educational part, because we talked now, like lots of people are talking at our convention about regenerative farming, but regenerative farming is also to lots of European farmers super new, and there's a lot of education coming along. And I know that where we are based in Ghana, lots of people using lots of pesticides, but I'm not so sure that they are really aware about what it's what it means for the soil to use pesticides. And I'm pretty sure everybody would be up also for regenerative farming if somebody would help them with the concept and put them also links to a market and how it's adding value to the product.
Yeah, exactly. So they need to see that it works before, if they see that it works, then, because, what we need to realize is that one generation ago, they were already doing in some way or form regenerative farming, right? This is like the big irony about all of this, is that we were doing our thing, before, colonization and all that came around, and it was in keeping, maybe it wasn't perfect, but then we were told that all of that was nonsense. And so like we forgot all those things, and then we tried to adapt. And now midway through, modernizing, it's like, okay, now we actually don't need to do that. Because if we do that, it's going to spell danger for all of humanity. So this is like the big irony about, what all that is going on. So that's why there's kind of like a move to go back, but go forward. If that makes any sense, revolutions, right?
No, I totally agree. I think it's also the same with the use of plastic, for example. I mean, you had before lots of biodegradable packaging, and now it's everything wrapped in plastic. But I mean, like I have sometimes conversation with my colleagues where we say we can understand, because in the end, plastic is such a great tool in itself, but unfortunately it harms the environment so much. And if there would be a different kind of packaging that would also be so clean and saves everything, then I guess everybody would jump on this ship. But coming from biodegradable packaging then to plastic, and now moving back to biodegradable packaging again, is always, as you said, like a kind of irony.
Yes, it is. And even with the packaging issue, like even if we did find a biodegradable substitute, then what happens? Then what? They just put that into the capitalist machinery, and then we're, back at the same problem, kind of, right? We are, if it's plantain leaves we're using, then the whole world is going to be making plantains, and we don't want a whole world of plantains, right? So even that has issues, and goes back to the way we think about our societies. Maybe it's not in packaging. Maybe we need to rethink how we go about packaging and distributing products around the world. Maybe there needs to be caps on the amount of products we distribute around the world. But no one is saying this right now, because it's almost like you're the crazy man if you come and talk about this. But these are kind of the fundamental things we need to look at our society if we are truly looking to build it to be sustainable. Otherwise, we're kind of just making small talk.
Yeah, and making the same mistakes all over again. Yeah.
Yes.
Abdallah, thank you so much. We reached the end of your session. Thank you very much. This was really great. For the audience, we're going to jump into the deep dive. So in the YouTube chat, we will provide you with a link which you can click on and meet us in the deep dive, which is a Zoom room, and then you can exchange with Abdallah. And also, if you want to stay on for the next session, we're going to have another Ghana topic. We're going to talk to Sophia Ernst from Fairfreak, how they produce chocolate in Ghana. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.